they grow up so fast. But I have so much gratitude for being able to do chapels with the kids here at Barnhart. I can't get those years back with my sons, but I get to create all kinds of new memories with these kids here. And one of the most common questions that I'm asked about chapels is, what do I teach the kids? The short answer is I try to teach them essentially the same things that I bring to you. They're just simplified, and the language of theology is left out. Yes, we're a church, which was founded by a woman named Ethel Barnhart, who also founded a school which teaches the same principles as the church. But we frame it in a way which embraces families from any and all faith backgrounds, including agnostics and atheists. We teach empowerment and the strength of virtues. We teach kids that the fate of the world lies not just in their collective hands, but in the hands, hearts, and minds of each individual, and that every single person is not only capable of creating lasting positive change, but that each was born and filled with a unique gift which, if they use it, will without question lead them to be the change needed in the world. And one of the tools that we use to unlock those unique gifts is the Virtues Project. My dad brought the Virtues Project to the school many years ago when we were seeking a way to guide the young minds at Barnhart without teaching from a religious or dogmatic perspective. Because everyone, whether they believe in God or strictly facts and science, or choose to believe that this material world is all there is, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. No matter what a family does or doesn't believe about the way this world and this life works, every family can agree that there are qualities which, if taught, understood, and practiced throughout one's lifetime, lead to success, fulfillment, purpose, drive, and lasting global change for everyone. And that list of qualities are what we call virtues. When I was thinking about where I wanted to come from in my approach to our talks for April, I realized that whenever I try to explain to non-Barnhart folks what chapel is about, I met with a whole lot of questions. So I decided that we're going to go about things this month the same way I do chapel, except we're going to have more fun with it. Barnhart has their weekly virtues well organized so that every week of each month is predetermined at the beginning of the year. But I am way too spontaneous to follow such well-organized, thoughtful plans when I'm in control of the reins. So I decided to leave it up to you. Last week, I asked for a volunteer to come up and choose a card. Susan is all the way back there. If you haven't met her yet, she used to live right across the way from my Nana when she was in the village over here. And if you haven't met her, you're going to want to, especially those of you who are into rocks, like people from the Pasadena Lapidary Society who meets here the third Tuesday of every month, because what do?
I'm a science teacher. Teach about geology and environmental science.
Geology and environmental science. She's a rock lady. So you will want to get to know her. Anyway, she came up and she drew this card, caring. And I bring this up with the kids. I don't think you're supposed to. I don't think you're supposed to bring up the card and read from it, but I do because I think they can see where we're working from. And I think it's also important for them to see that I'm not just saying what's on the card. That I'm giving them the card and I'm saying what it says, and then I'm saying, but wait, there's more. So the card says, caring is giving love and attention to people and things that matter to you. When you care about people, you help them. You do a careful job, giving your very best effort. You treat people and things gently and respectfully. Caring makes the world a safer place. It says you're practicing caring when you show care for others, yourself, and the earth. When you look at people and listen closely, when you handle things carefully, when you're gentle with people and things placed in your care, when you treat your body with respect, when you work with enthusiasm and excellence. And it gives me affirmations, which sometimes I use, sometimes I don't, because sometimes there's not much meat to them. And this is an example of when there's not too much meat to the affirmations. There's, I care for others and myself. Another is, I pay loving attention. And the next is, I give my best to every job. And all of that's good, right? We can agree. But it's also mildly vague. And it's a little ambiguous when it comes to the importance of the hows. Not only the details of the hows, but also the real depth of the reason to do those hows. More importantly to me, it ignores the huge opportunity to hand people one of those wonderful keys to unlock a door to a changed world. One of those keys to unlock a heaven on earth. And what do I mean by all of that? I mean, it's wonderful to get to a point where we're caring toward everyone, where everyone is consistently caring toward everyone, right? But what if we could do something more with that? I'm going to ease into things the way I do with the middle schoolers, because they are a very tough crowd. If you have not met those kids who are right there between kid and teen, they're a tough crowd because they're too old to suffer my silliness. They are too cool to show emotion if something touches them, and far too self-aware to engage more than half-heartedly and risk drawing the attention of their peers. Can anyone remember that? You didn't want to do anything to make people look too close at you? I was that kid. So what I try to do with them is get them to think. I get them to consider possibilities in relation to themselves and their personal creative power. And I tiptoe in gently with some quotes before I start those wheels turning in their brains. So the Dalai Lama said, as human beings, we each have a responsibility to care for humanity. Expressing concern for others brings inner strength and deep satisfaction. As social animals, human beings need friendship, but friendship doesn't come from wealth and power, but from showing compassion and concern for others. And that's a wonderful way to look at engaging the power of caring. But for really beginning to dig into the power of caring, I like this one from best-selling self-help author Og Mandino. Anybody heard of him? Been around for a while. He said, beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend to them all the care, kindness, and understanding you can muster, and do it with no thought of any reward. Your life will never be the same again. And that, my friends, is absolutely 100% true. If you do that, your life will never be the same again. If we all do that, and this is what I'm trying to teach the Barnhart kids, if we all do that, our entire world will never be the same again. And we all want and see the dire need for this world to change, don't we? So hear this. The power for that change lies in your hands and in mine and in the hands of everyone who walks the planet. And here is the fundamental truth in it all. If we empower people with that knowledge and everyone grabs a hold of their personal power in the equation of global change, knowing that their responsibility and potential effect is just as necessary, that their power is just as potent, as that of any politician in existence at any time. Change will begin to happen immediately when they see that. That's the truth. It's really that simple, and it begins with each of us. Now, I got a text from Clark up there in the balcony on Tuesday night, and if you haven't met Clark yet, Clark Smith has been here almost as long as I have. I'm going to say he came roughly 13 years after I did, although he had a brief period as a little one, but I don't remember him from that. But he's been here a long time, is my point. He serves on the board of directors here almost always over the last 20 plus years. He runs the audio and video for most of our events here on campus. And he takes care of our campus. He makes sure that our campus is secure every single day. And honestly, Clark is one of the most quietly active people on our campus. So if you haven't had the chance to really get to know him, you'll want to. He is one of my favorite people, and he knows this. Anyway, his text read, "Must watch The Healer on Amazon." That's it. Now, most people wouldn't think much if a friend sent them something like that, but I know Clark. And if he said must, it was for a good reason. And when I saw him after the Wednesday night service, he kind of broke it down for us in the bookstore. So we decided to make it our film for movie night here last Friday. I promised him I'd watch it before we showed it to everyone officially, and I did. I finished watching it about 2 hours before everybody got here on Friday night. And it was good. But the thing is, watching it that second time, and potentially watching it that second time so close to when I watched it the first time, it mattered. If you've ever come to a movie night here, you'll know that more often than not, I'm furiously scribbling in a notebook while the movie's playing. And this week's movie was no exception. This film is about 29-year-old Alex. He's an Englishman with a degree in mechanical engineering who's the owner of a shop called The Healer. But it isn't the kind of healing most of us would think of. He heals anything electrical. He's a fix-it guy. And he's also a bit of a gambler and to some degree a womanizer. And he is badly in debt to some very unsavory people who are coming after him to make him pay one way or another. So in swoops in an uncle that he didn't even know existed. In fact, he thought he had no family in the world. He is told in no uncertain terms by his bank that he is to meet this unexpected uncle at a specific time and place or else. And he does. And the uncle says that he is willing to pay off Alex's entire debt of almost $90,000. But Alex has to agree to spend 1 full year at his house in Nova Scotia. And so he agrees, and off he heads. And I'll give you the broad strokes version of the story as much as I can. He meets a girl who is the local vet, Claire, and she befriends him early on. And she suggests that he place an ad in their local paper advertising his business. She says it's like the Bible around here. Everybody reads it. And this ad is supposed to read, Alex so-and-so, I don't remember his last name, the healer has moved to our small town with the quote at the bottom, I fix anything electrical. And the ad included his address at the bottom. And right about then is when strange things began to happen. Because as they're parting ways, Claire's getting into her car, her dog perks up, starts heading out the window, and then jumps out to sit at Alex's feet and gaze lovingly up at him. Something very out of character for both the dog and Alex. Cut to the next morning, Alex is in the shower, he's singing, and suddenly it's very clear that it gets cold. So he jumps out, he grabs a towel, and he runs downstairs to the phone, I'm assuming to call about getting the water heater fixed or something, but that call is interrupted by a lady standing there in his kitchen. And he's in a towel. And she tells him, we'll all be waiting in here when you're ready, because they think he's the healer of people. One woman sitting in there complains of arthritis, and she says her husband's all but deaf. A man says, and I quote, "I am a kidney stone factory." Another young woman complains that her blood sugar is all out of whack. And Alex is there frantically trying to explain that he's not that kind of healer, but they show him the ad. And the ad says he is. In fact, you remember that quote where it says, "I fix anything electrical"? It said, "I heal anyone." What a typo, right? But it's not really a typo. Long story short, Alex is the healer. He comes from a long line of ancestors among whom every other generation one has this gift. But that person never knows about it in advance, and they only come into their gift on their 30th birthday, and only in that specific small town in Nova Scotia. And they must choose whether or not to keep the gift. You remember when I said Alex was 29? It's not a mistake that the uncle showed up when he did, right before his birthday. Now, Alex, who by now has begun to realize what people think is happening, people are saying that he cured the woman's arthritis. Mind you, he had no interaction with this woman or anyone else short of saying that is not what I do. Okay? They're saying that he cured her arthritis. He returned her husband's hearing. He shut down the kidney stone factory. He stabilized the woman's blood sugar, erased a man's stutter, and gave a mute little girl a voice, and unwittingly brought a priest back to life. And he wants none of it. He thinks that they're all bonkers. He is surly and a little bit angry when he's told, "You're supposed to have this gift. It's a wonderful thing." And he goes, "No, it's not. You all are insane." And he makes the choice to give it up. He makes a choice to give up this power that he thinks people just say he has. He doesn't want this gift. But then, after he's given it up, this very special little girl with a terminal case of marshmallow, I did mention you have to watch the movie, right? She captures his heart. She changes everything, and he fights to get the gift back. He screams and he shouts and he struggles and he yearns and he works to get it back. And the world is changed. But again, you'll have to watch the movie. But it got me thinking, Alex had this hidden gift all along. One that only he possessed. He was the only one anywhere who could do it. We each have a hidden gift. Whether we know it or not, it's there. And many of us don't have any idea what it is. But when we look back through life, we can see moments, glimmers of incredible things that have happened around us. And I'm not going to try and convince you of this, nor am I going to try to guess what your gift is. I just know that it is. And I know that others throughout your life have seen it. And they've probably tried to get you to see it by telling you how great you are, by complimenting you, by telling you they love you and demonstrating that love. Perhaps they've gone so far as to explain your greatness in detail. But here's the thing. Did you believe it? We are so very good at painstakingly holding on to all of the horrible things others have said about us, aren't we? I'll bet that if I asked you to come up with 3 examples of horrible things someone said about you, you would have no problem immediately rattling 3 off. And I don't want you to think about that ugly personal inventory, not now or ever. But what if I asked you to tell me one time someone said something amazing about you and you believed them? Could you come up with that answer as easily? And you believed them. Would you have to work at finding that instance? Those are important questions to consider, right? Alex's gift only worked in that specific small town. But people could come from anywhere in the world to experience that healing as long as they came to him. In that small town, though, miraculous healings happened simply by him being near. He didn't have to do anything. He just existed, and healing sprung up around him. They didn't even have to tell him that they wanted to be healed. They would heal. And this made me think of one of the Bible passages I shared with you last week from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8, verses 40 through 50. Now, when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. Then a man named Jairus, a synagogue leader, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl about 12, was dying. As Jesus was on his way, the crowds almost crushed him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. She came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. "Who touched me?" Jesus asked. When they all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me." Then the woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." While Jesus was still speaking, someone came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead," he said. "Don't bother the teacher anymore." Hearing this, Jesus said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid. Just believe, and she will be healed." It happened without him. He was the catalyst for the healing, but it wasn't Jesus who did the work. Just as Alex didn't do any work when everyone around him was healed, it just happened. People believed he was the healer, so people were healed. So was the gift a power he actually possessed? Or was it simply that people believed that someone from that family line would always be a miraculous healer? So when they and others came to see him, through their belief, they were miraculously healed? That's something to consider. And I don't think that the movie makers thought I would go there, but I did. But back to the point. Our gift, your gift and mine, it may not appear to be huge. It may seem to create only the smallest bits of change that doesn't matter in the big picture. It may seem insignificant. When you consider the handful of people in that little town who were healed against all of the millions and millions of people all over the world in desperate need of healing, that doesn't sound like much, does it? That little group. But to that handful of people, it was everything. The scope of your gift, whatever it is, it may not seem like much, but to God, to the little piece of the world that is around you at any given moment, it is everything. Imagine for a moment what the world would be like if each of us were taught over and over again from a very young age to search within to uncover our unique gift. And once we found it, to develop it, to exercise it, to put time and effort into it. And then we're taught to find others who have similar gifts, or gifts ours could help to make stronger. If everyone in the world cared about where their own unique God-given gifts could make the most difference and strove, stopping at nothing to demonstrate them, this world would be the heaven we long for. How many of us hide from believing in our perfect, shining inner self? How many of us deny it exists, even when all evidence says it's real? I wager most of us have done exactly that at some point, right? Told ourselves that the praise someone's giving us isn't entirely deserved, then packed it away and never looked at it again. How many of us have hidden it away thinking it wasn't anything special, anyone could do it? And Alex surely hid, right? He hid so well that he gave up his gift altogether. He denied it so well that it didn't exist anymore. How did he get it back? What happened to light that magic again? What was it? I'm going to sum it up in 2 words. He cared. He knew that he'd once had the power to heal, and he decided to stop at nothing to get that power back. He fought and he yelled and he begged and he put effort into it, and it came back. That thing inside you that you've denied, that thing that your childhood self believed in, that thing that would make the world of your future amazing when you dreamed of it as a kid, that thing you think of when you say, when I was young, I used to. And you feel that excitement as you start to talk about it, only to end with, but it's too late now. That thing is still there. It may not look the same. You may not be a prima ballerina on the stage anymore, but your heart can still dance. You may not demand throngs of people at your gallery shows, but you can still paint incredible worlds. That magic inside of you is never, ever, ever gone. You have to believe in it, and you have to care enough to bring it back. You have to care enough to let it express as you in whole new ways. You have to care enough to get out of your own way and let that God within you shine its magic into the lives of those around you. You have to care. So yes, caring is a virtue. According to Oxford Languages, a virtue is behavior showing high moral standards, as in paragons of virtue. A virtue is a quality considered morally good or desirable in a person, as in patience is a virtue. A virtue is the good or useful quality of a thing, as in Mike was extolling the virtues of the car. But where did this concept of virtue originally come from? And yes, this is also according to that very same entry in Oxford. In traditional Christian angelology, a virtue is the 7th highest order of the 9-fold celestial hierarchy. Now, first of all, I didn't know that angelology, or the study of angels, was a thing. And second, I didn't know that the word virtue came from that thing called angelology until last night when I looked it up. So the point is, when we speak of virtues, we speak of the 7th highest order of the celestial hierarchy. That's a ninefold hierarchy. So 7 is really important. It is way up there. Caring is the stuff of angels. Care to be all that you've always been meant to. From the Science of Mind on page 434, we are free souls, free spirits, and because this is true, our thought has creative power. And since it has this power, we must carefully choose what we are to think, for everything moves in circles. Your life has led you here. The gift you've carried with you from the moment your first cells divided to this very moment is still here. It can never not be here. It is the very essence of your being. Believe it. Close your eyes and inwardly say, I know my gift is here. Again, say to yourself, I know my gift is here. And now add, and I care enough to guide it into its greatest strength. So let it be. Thank you.